Oscar goes to Flo.
Flo.
They stole it from me, Carmine! They took it! That was today! Today!
So let's preface that we can all agree that Oscars mean diddly squat in terms of having a meaning for an award. I mean, all we have to look at is Emilia Perez, a movie that was demolished by literally everyone except the Oscar watchers, yet somehow came out with the most nominations of any movie this Oscar season.
Men to woman, or woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina.
This feels like one of those cringy Steven Crowder comedy skit parodies, but it's not. There's a lot to criticize about the Oscars. I'm not the first person to mention this, so let's dive straight into the title of the video, because the title is a little rage baity. With the hopes of the indie film lovers losing it at the thought that a major studio film should have won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature instead. But don't worry, dear viewer, I'm not here to say that. In fact, I'm quite happy to see that Flo won, considering I finished watching it a couple hours before the Oscars even began. If you don't know, Flo is a 2024 Latvian animated movie that follows a cat that is trying to survive an apocalyptic level flood with several other animals, and the best part is, there is no dialogue. And it was all animated using Blender, which is a very popular free animation software that you'll see on YouTube, which is incredibly impressive because the film is absolutely gorgeous, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to tell that. While the character designs are not as detailed as some other animated movies, the beauty is done in the environment, with every single environment being incredibly beautiful, with some scenes having some of my favorite looking animated shots of this year. Which is impressive considering that there was quite a few beautiful animated movies this year. There are a lot of different themes and ideas explored in this movie, but funnily enough, I feel that the biggest one is the idea of nature and the acceptance of change. The flow of life, if you will. Which I do find it interesting that there was some similar ideas with The Wild Robot, which was another Oscar-nominated movie, and in my opinion, the only other one that was a serious contender for Best Animated Film of the Year, at least of the ones that I have seen. But I don't want to spoil too much about this movie since it's a must-watch, especially if you love animation, but it will emotionally grip you and will leave you thinking long after the movie has finished. I truly feel that this might be one of the most important Oscar wins, and here's why. It's no secret that animation is not a medium that's taken seriously, with it often being attributed to children. Most animated movies are meant to be very childish, often appealing to the lowest common denominator, with most of them being stuffed to the gills with some of the most obnoxious dialogue some 50-year-old producer could come up with because that's what the kids like. But not only does Flo show that an animated film with no dialogue can be incredibly compelling and interesting, but that it highlights why animation is so popular. Every element of the visual aspect of the movie is under the creative team. Every rock can be placed exactly where the team wants it to be. Unlike when filming in live action, there are still limitations, no matter how big the budget and how much time is given. With animation, you can tell any story you want, and you don't need words to do it. Heck, this applies with films in general, with so many movies forgetting the whole point of visual storytelling and instead choosing to vomit exposition instead of showing, the whole reason for visual storytelling. I think Alfred Hitchcock said it best. If it's a good movie, the sound could go off and the audience would still have a pretty clear idea of what was going on. But I believe in an era where live action remakes are being made for the sake of money and the belief that the general public needs to watch the gritty realistic version, that for animation to be taken seriously, there has to be films that are willing to push the boundaries of what an animated film can be. Another important aspect is that Flo is the first indie film to ever win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, which is a huge accomplishment. See, Oscar voters, there are more films than just the ones made by major animation studios. And me praising Flo is not digging on the other nominations. Heck, I personally think I like The Wild Robot a little bit more than Flo, but I think Flo needed to win. And hopefully this win will maybe encourage more studios to take more risks and not just make films that fit the standard American animated movie formula. Sure, that's as hopeless of a statement as me saying I hope that some muscle mommy will slide into my DMs, but it's not like it couldn't happen. So did Flo deserve to win? Yes, absolutely, and it's arguably one of the most important Oscar wins for animation. I hope that its success can inspire many more films that follow its footsteps, because if we can have more movies like Flo, then we would become spoiled rotten with good movies. And who knows, maybe it could even lead to animation being taken more seriously, not just by Hollywood, but by the general consumer as well. My name's Cameron, spank all those buttons, stay safe out there, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye.